Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now, with the introduction of the BMW R1300 GS, it seems that BMW have done away with the partnership that they had with Garmin that brought us the Navigator 5 and the Navigator 6, which I so loved on my old GS, and replaced it with something called the BMW Connected Ride Navigator, which I've got on this new R1300 GS. The question is it any good? So let me start by saying I am a huge fan of the old setup on the BMW. Well, I've got the old Nav 5 on here, and the Nav 6 was very similar, just a little bit more shiny and a bit updated. But I particularly like the way that it's a standalone GPS. You don't need it to be connected to your phone, although you could connect it to your phone. And the way that it integrates with the bike via the whiz wheel here. So you can do all sorts of stuff on it actually by using this ear, which I really loved. And that is what made it stand out from just having standalone GPS units for me. The integration with the whiz wheel and the way that also you could get bike data off of the sat nav as well. Really like that. So that's something you don't get off of standalone units, but you do get off of the new Connected Ride device. All right, so here's the new bike and the new Connected Ride device just sitting there in the cradle. And the first thing I would say is you can actually use this if you've got the cradle on the older bike. So I've tried it out. This new gadget does fit in the cradle on my old bike and it's perfectly functional. You can use the whiz wheel and it operates fine. So you don't actually need a new R1300 GS to make the most of the new Navigator if you fancy one. You've got an older bike, a 1250 or whatever. I think it works on any that's got the sat nav preparation from 2014 onwards. Anyway, here's the new device sat here on the bike. If I just bring the bike alive, you can have a look and see what it looks like when it starts up, he says, hoping it's going to start up. There we go. On she comes. Lovely clear screen on here, of which we'll go through more later. Now, I haven't done anything with this yet, because this is one of those devices that really benefits from being connected to a phone. Now, I've been critical before about bikes that have nav systems that are connected to their phone, but really I'm talking there about systems where the navigation comes up turn by turn on the TFT. In this case, of course, you have got this dedicated unit. Now, you can use the unit standalone to a degree, and I have done so far because I haven't connected my phone up to it, and it does work. But there's no doubt if you connect your phone up, you get far more rich information off it, things like traffic information, all sorts of other stuff as well. So, first thing is to connect the phone up. Let's see how hard that is. I haven't even done that. I'm not reading a manual. This is done man style. Let's see how hard it is to connect the phone. Right, before you can do anything about connecting your phone up, you have to download an app from BMW, which you can get via the App Store or whatever the Google equivalent is if you've got an iPhone. I've got an iPhone, so there we go. I've downloaded that. I don't need to show you how to download it. It's dead easy. And as I say, I'm not using the manual here, so it could go terribly wrong. But first thing it says here is a big button that says Connect Motorcycle. So I guess I should turn her on so it's active and then hit that Connect Motorcycle button. Let's see how easy this is. Right, she's on. Let's come back here. Let's hit Connect. Right, open the connections menu within the settings menu on the motorcycle and pair a new mobile device. All right, how hard can that be? Open the connections menu. Please connect smartphone with Navigator. Yes, I'm trying to do that. Okay, is it on there? Settings. Connections menu within settings. Settings, here we go. Settings. Connections. Can't see where it says connections, but let's try system. Maybe it's in there. System update. Right, leave it with me while I find where the connections menu is. Right, well, I can't find where the connections menu is at the moment, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere. But in the process of trying to look for it, I found something that says Wi-Fi, and it's found my local Wi-Fi. So I'm going to connect it to my Wi-Fi, just see what that does. It probably updates maps and stuff. So I'll just do that for the hell of it. Right, forget the Wi-Fi thing. I failed because I couldn't remember what my Wi-Fi password is, but that I'm sure would be easy enough to do. Anyway, I've gone back to trying to connect the phone with the with the nav device. And if you remember, on here it says Open Connections menu within settings. Well, it turns out that's not what you do, so that's not very good, because in settings there's absolutely nothing. It turns out what you've got to do is go to that one there, the connectivity hub, which makes more sense, doesn't it? And then you can connect up there, I think. So here we go, connect new device. That's more like it, isn't it? So smartphone, okay, it's scanning, it says here. Let's make sure my Bluetooth is on. Bluetooth is on. And his iPhone, there we go. Hit that, pairing, excellent. Pair. Cool. Ah, no devices connected. Allow on my phone, and his iPhone connected. Excellent, smartphone. So there we go. So with it, without reading the manual, which I'm sure would make it easier, I managed to actually connect my phone up. But it has to be said, the app on the phone was a bit misleading about how you did it, but you know, you can work it out. So it seems I'm connected up at last. So, with the newfangled navigation device connected up to the phone, I shall get out on the road, I shall have a little play with it, and I'll have a go at actually using it to navigate, and I'll let you know what my feedback is. Now, I must say, I've never been an advanced user of GPSs on bikes before. Even when I was using the Nav 5 and Nav 6s previously, I tended to just put in like the next town and on to go. I wouldn't do clever things with routing and waypoints and all that sort of stuff. So this video is not going to be about how you use it in that sense, but it'll just be how a simple user like me uses it. All right, I'm going to get togged up, hit the road, have a play with it, and then I'll give you a bit of a summary of what I found.
Alrighty, so you join me on the bike at the start of a trip, and I've never used this sat nav before. I haven't read the manual, so forgive this slightly man-type demo. So this is the postcode I want, WS119UX, which is actually Norton Keynes services on the M6 toll. It's a little bit of a way away, first time I've ever used this, so let's attempt to put a destination in. I guess we hit the little checkered flag. Start. No, enter address, here we are. Address, I don't really want an address, I want a postcode, can I do that? Favourites, routes, perhaps I can't do that. Alright then, let's put in the postcode and see if it will just accept it. UX, search. That'll be it, I happen to know, Betty's Lane, that's the one. For some reason it says it's offline even though I've got my phone in my pocket. Anyway, we'll hit go, calculating route, and we'll see what it does. Alright, well that looks pretty clear. That looks very similar to the sort of display that you would have on the Garmin unit. So that's alright. Alright, let's give that a whirl, see what it's like in action. Speak to you when we're on the road. Right, we're off. Sun is super bright this morning. So sorry if you can't actually see very well. It's a lovely day. Early in the morning, the clock I've noticed on the bike is wrong. It says it's 8:42. It's actually about 9:30, and only 2 degrees. Don't say I don't do consumer research in tricky situations. Anyway, back to the sat nav. So yeah, it looks pretty good actually. Once it's running, it looks quite familiar. I mean, let's face it, all sat navs look pretty much the same, don't they? But it's given me, you know, where my next thing is. In 1.3 miles, I've got to do a little shimmy to the right. It's given me the time that I'm going to get to Norton Keynes, the services, at 11:08, an hour and 44 minutes, and it's saying it was 110 miles, and it's got a nice and clear display as well, albeit the labels are slightly small. It's also got the speed limit on the top, and yeah, looks a pretty good display. So what I've got to do is, this is mostly going to be a motorway run, so I won't bore you with all that, but I'll crack on, and I'll let you know how I found it once I get to Norton Keynes. Or maybe even before if something strange happens. Anyway, speak to you a bit later. Okay, so I thought I'd actually just quickly join you before I've got much further to let you know that I just had a fiddle on the settings on here just to see if my phone was connected. It turned out it wasn't, but I went into the phone connection thing and it sort of booted it into action and it quickly connected to my phone without me doing anything on the phone. So maybe what you need to do is just go into the phone connection to start with to make sure it's there, but it is now online, it's no longer offline. That said, it's made no difference to the nav whatsoever. Even offline you still get the maps and presentation and everything else. Blimey, that sun's bright now. Alright, anyway, that's a quick update for you. I'll speak to you further on in the trip. Okay, so I'm cruising my way along the motorway now. I'm on the M40 and kind of settling into the ride, and I have to say I'm quite impressed with this sat nav. It seems to be lovely and clear. I do love the screen on it. Obviously BMW have learnt from their TFTs and made a lovely presentation. The only thing I would say about it is I find the labelling on the actual map itself a bit too small. For things like, you know, how far I've got to go, time remaining, all that, perfectly easy to read. But if I zoom out using the whiz wheel, look, so I can actually see the map, see the actual place names and so on there are tiny. And I'm struggling to read those. I need to go through the settings and see if I can make the labels bigger. It may well be possible, but on this first ride, I don't know how to do that. I've not read the manual. I would say the labels are quite difficult to read on there if you've got normal eyesight. But other than that, I've got bright sun behind me and it's not reflective at all. It's a beautiful clear display. Hey folks, back with you still on the motorway on the M40. A bit further along, something else I've just noticed about the display on here. It says that I've got an hour and 17 to go to Norton Keynes, and it says that I'll be there at 11:06. The time on the display, the TFT at the bottom, is 9:07, right? So that's exactly 2 hours from 9:07 is 11:06 or thereabouts, but this is saying it's an hour and 17. So what I deduced from that, bit of odd maths, is that although I knew the time on the TFT is incorrect and it's slow, the time on the sat-nav is correct. So there's probably a setting somewhere that you can set the TFT bike time to that, the same as the satellites. That's certainly what I could do on my old GS, and I'm sure you could do it on here, so I need to find the setting where I do that. But it seems I can rely on the times on the sat-nav, even though I know that the clock on the bike itself is about half an hour slow. Anyway, thought that was interesting. Right, catch up with you later. Interesting, look, with the sun behind me, the TFT you almost can't read, but the sat-nav you can. Now you might have a different angle on the camera than I've got with my eyes, but when the sun is directly behind you at a certain angle, the TFT becomes almost unreadable on the BMW, but the sat-nav remains okay. So there's obviously some different technologies going on with the glass there. Alrighty, I'm just about to come off the M40 now onto the M42. Interestingly, look, it gives you a little countdown to the junction on the sat-nav. I've got 2 little blocks and then off I come, look, so it's very obvious how you turn off, and it's giving me a countdown, 400 feet, 200 feet, etc. What I would say about this little unit, not only is it very clear, but it's also very quick at updating. My old Nav5 on my R1200 GS used to be a bit slow. You would be, you know, say the junction was 20 yards and you'd actually be at the junction. This one seems a little bit more accurate, I guess, as it should be, because this has got 10 years or so more development. But in terms of the sort of GPS update frequency, it seems to be pretty good, this. I'm pretty impressed with this unit, I have to say. Alright, it's all getting a bit exciting now, because the bike is telling me that I'm running out of fuel. It says I've got 34 miles to go. The sat-nav tells me that Norton Keynes is 16 miles, so theoretically I've got enough fuel to get me there. But every now and then it's got this, it says out at the top of the sat-nav, and then when I got near that junction just there, it came up with a big out as if to say come off, you need fuel. So it gives you plenty of warnings about running low on fuel. So I am running the gauntlet here slightly, but given I've got a 34 mile range on the bike, I hope that's right, and 16 miles to go to Norton Keynes, I should be okay. But I've not seen that before on a sat-nav, so thought I'd point that out. Alrighty, so I think I've used that sat-nav enough to get an understanding of how it feels. I'm feeling good about the range now, by the way. I've got 26 miles range look and 10 miles to Norton Keynes, so I'm pretty much at my destination. The sat-nav has worked flawlessly. Now, this hasn't been by any means a detailed demonstration of how it works. As I say, I'm a very simple user of sat-navs. I'm just doing the stuff that I do. I just put the next point in that I'm going to get to. So it successfully got me there. Not that I didn't know my way anyway, but I was interested to see the display of the sat-nav and what it looked like and how easy it was to use. I've been pleasantly surprised with this new connected navigated ride device thing. I think it's pretty good. It's definitely better than my old Nav5. It updates quicker, the screen display is better, everything about it's better. I think you know, if you're tempted to go for an integrated solution on your bike, then yeah, definitely worth considering. It's quite expensive, but it's a thumbs up from me.
So there we go, that's my initial review of the new connected Navigator device on the BMW. I have to say, I actually like it a bit more than I thought I was going to. Naturally, I'm kind of anti-tech on bikes. I know that seems incredible given the sorts of bikes that I ride and the sort of person I am. But this one actually, I rather like the deep functionality that it has. I like the way that it connects to the bike and it gives you bike information. I like the way that you can control it with the whiz wheel, although it's a bit more fiddly on this bike because you have to go between obviously the TFT and the device using the little menu button to let you know which one you want to talk to. Whereas on my old 1200, it only talked to the GPS, so it was easier on that in that respect. There's loads of functionality in there to get to grips with. I'm going to have to live with the bike a bit more, do a few more tours, that sort of thing, to properly understand what it's about. But so far, it's kind of a I'd say sort of a thumbs sort of up-ish for it. It is quite expensive. I've had a look on the web. It's about 660 quid if you want to buy one of these. So I think that's a little bit more than a standalone device. But then, of course, you don't get all that fancy integration. So as I say, thumbs sort of up for me so far. But I'll report back in a few months when I've got a bit more use out of it. Anyway, hope for now that's of some interest to you. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Don't forget to hit the old subscribe button, like all that sort of stuff. Keep the YouTube gods happy. And I'll see you next time. Until then, this has been the Mr. Flyer. Cheerio.
Hey kids, we're the missing the flyers.